Welcome back to the OHL Fanboys podcast. Windsor won!
Yeah.
Also, with me on the show is Steve McLean from OHL Pucks and Stripes, Mr. Keith Dotson, and a Windsor person's talking to us. Oh my goodness, it's Mr. Manny Pavia, formerly of Owen Sound, but now with Windsor.
Yeah, hanging out in Windsor here.
My goodness, you got to do color for tonight's game. Give us your thoughts. Windsor beat what we thought was the unbeatable team in this Erie Otters.
Yeah, I did pregame for tonight.
Pregame. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's not a problem. And I thought the Windsor victory, there were full marks for the victory. I thought they dominated from the puck drop in the first period all the way to the end. Obviously, the goaltending by Michael DiPietro was a big reason why they hung on for the victory, but I thought Windsor was full marks for the win.
Keith, Jeremiah Addison had the game of the tournament, I think, so far.
Really? I mean, it was good, but you got to go with Strome last game against
No, because he didn't need to be on the ice for those last while.
Okay, but he still didn't make. He got a hat trick. Good for him.
Okay, Keith's off the show. Steve, give us your thoughts on this crazy night.
I will say, as far as that goes, the Strome comparison. I mean, Addison was scoring goals in much more intense pressure than Dylan Strome was scoring. So we'll say that. I'm just happy. I was just watching Brian all night, like the guy jumping up and down, because you came into this tournament as the most cynical bastard in the world, and after the Spits won their first game, you were happy. Like they could have gone
1-2.
They could have gone 1-2 and lost a tiebreaker, and you were just happy that they did better than London. And to watch you kind of almost, you might still be a little cynical, but
It's not over till it's over.
I'm honestly surprised the Erie Otters didn't win tonight. Nothing against the Windsor Spitfires, but it's just I thought Erie was the team to beat. I'm not saying they can't come back and win this, but it's been great. Like the Spits are they're for real, I think.
Well, and Windsor did what they needed to do. They got off to a good start. They kept Erie off the shot clock the first half of the first period, and they didn't get into penalty trouble. And DiPietro came out big when the Erie Otters started putting on the pressure.
I thought the start was key. The team that scored first in every single game has won every single game. Windsor scored first and sort of dictated the pace of the game in that first period. Erie really dominated the final 40 minutes, and I thought, more so than Addison, I thought it was Michael DiPietro's night to shine.
Speaking of which, you're not voting on the 3 stars, are you?
No,
I
don't
how does Michael DiPietro not get a star?
I said the same thing after the game. So I thought DiPietro deserved a star. I thought he was excellent. And in the end, the reason why Windsor won the hockey game.
It wasn't a perfect game for the Spitfires, though. One of the criticisms that you've seen this team all year has been they sit back on leads. And it was starting to happen again tonight. This also happened in the opener against St. John, where they get that comfortable 3-goal lead, and then they kind of just sit back. And especially that third period, it was almost an entire power play for the Otters. Can they afford to do that in a final? They've beaten all 3 teams, but it's going to bite you in the butt more often than not.
Right. I don't think it's all on Windsor. I think when a team is down, you're going to expect a pushback. And with the talented teams, especially St. John and Erie, who are known for their offense, there's going to be a ton of pushback. Yes, Windsor has struggled to close out games during the regular season. That is a factor. I'm not going to deny that. But I think you have to look at the other side of the ice as well and know that the other team's going to push. Erie pulled their goalie with 3 minutes to go. They really wanted to win this game.
What's Coach Knobloch talking to the Otters about tonight? Because this was not their best effort by a long shot, and they just came off a 7-goal drubbing of St. John.
I think, for me, they're focused on the start. They didn't compete or meet the needs that for the start of their game. Windsor came out strong. Erie did not, and Windsor led 2-0 because of that.
And the word out of the locker room, too, from the players was that they need to play a full 60 minutes, and they didn't feel like they got the start that they wanted to. I think that they're now going to go into this with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to take care of St. John, and then when they possibly meet Windsor again on Sunday, they're going to play with a harder edge and come after it and start better.
I was just having a bit of a text conversation right before we went on air with Victor Fernandez, of course, the Erie Otters beat writer, and he told me he expects Erie to just come out and kill St. John on Friday. And I said, well, St. John's got something to prove against the Otters, but he said, no, Erie always comes back with a big win after a loss like they had tonight. You mentioned, Manny, also in the first period, just Windsor. Like I thought as well, they just dominated every aspect of that first period. And when things kind of and then a couple plays that wasn't going their way, they were laying the body so much. How many block shots did we see from guys like Boca and Stanley tonight? Just, it's incredible.
Chatfield was blocking shots. That's a part of Windsor's game. Try to keep people to the outside, and then when they get into shooting lanes, block shots and the physical presence. The other thing that stood out for me is because Windsor had such a strong push at the start of the game, they created some turnovers and gained entry into the zone and gained entry into the danger area, the slot area, quite easily. Addison's first goal, right in the slot. Second goal was a bad goal Timpano should have had from the other side of the circle. Third goal, Erie got into penalty trouble. Two-man advantage goal. And then the turnover that caused the fourth goal. All small points in the game. You can't get into penalty trouble. You've got to withstand the forecheck of the other team. And you've got to find ways to get pucks towards the net. And at times, Erie didn't do that because of the block shots.
So now they get a day off, just same as St. John, who I'm sure has been back at their hotel watching this game. It can't be 12-5 again, correct?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll see the best of St. John on Friday, and I like Victor a lot, but I don't think Erie's going to come out and pummel them on Friday night.
I would agree. And many people thought that Erie was going to win this game, and I was thinking that as well. And I thought that if Erie won tonight, that I was kind of leaning towards St. John beating Windsor, and then getting to the final on Sunday. Can they beat the Erie Otters? It would surprise me, but at the same time, I think, like you just mentioned, Manny, we're going to see the best of the St. John Sea Dogs, but we're going to see the best of the Erie Otters, and I think that's what's going to be St. John's downfall in the end.
Yeah, 100%. I think Erie's going to win the game on Friday. I just don't think it's going to be a downright onslaught that we saw on Tuesday night or whenever that night was. Yeah.
Talk about your tournament so far. I'm sure you've been to a couple Memorial Cups before, especially in your time with Owen Sound, but this is a bit different for you, getting to do all different sorts of hats.
Yeah, in 2011, when I was with the Owen Sound Attack, I did all the Owen Sound games on radio with Fred Wallace. I had a great time. That was a great run for Owen Sound. The thing that stands out for me in that tournament was that that was the last year before the league really put the hammer down on head checks. Joey Hishin got hurt in that tournament and has never been the same. Braden McNabb got 1 game suspension for that head hit, and he was back to knock out the Attack in the tiebreaker game. That would never happen in today's tournament. Garrett Wilson also got a head check in that tournament and didn't play as well. In this tournament, Windsor is fully healthy, the team that I've been following all year, whereas Owen Sound had some knocks in that tournament. Windsor's fully healthy in this tournament, and yes, I'm surprised by the way they've played. I did not expect that they would win all 3 round-robin games and get a ticket to the final, but I'm enjoying it. I also have been in London as a fan for that tournament, and I thought that was a really good tournament too as well. But
don't remind me about that tournament.
Brian, I think I have a stat that will make you happy. Windsor has not been behind at all. They have either been tied or had the lead.
Yeah, Windsor has won 11 straight games at the Memorial Cup now, dating back to their time in 09 and 010. The OHL team was going to win this game no matter what, but an OHL team, I think, has now won 13 straight games at the Memorial Cup as well.
Don't remind me of the last loss.
The last loss in 2014. But the biggest story that stands out for me in this tournament, when you ask me about previous tournaments, is how much the OHL has dominated.
It's not even close.
Yeah, I think some fans may argue that the West is stronger than the East in the OHL. I think you can make an argument after this tournament that the OHL is a lot stronger than the other leagues in the CHL.
There was some talk before this tournament started, especially with the 100th coming up, and there might have been a format change to invite more teams to this tournament. And, of course, one of the running jokes was, this would have been a great tournament if it was Erie, Owen Sound, London, and Windsor, or something like that. But with more OHL teams in this, could you not see a Final Four OHL team, especially this year with the dominance of the top 5?
Yeah, I think if you had a lot of fun and drew up a May Madness, sort of like the March Madness basketball tournament, I think you probably would find a lot more OHL teams competing for the championship in a semifinal or final scenario. We still may get that, though.
Things get unbalanced sometimes. I do remember, well, I don't remember it because I wasn't around for it, but I've looked back in the history books. There was a time when the Eastern Conference, especially the East Division, when you had Ottawa and Oshawa and Peterborough, that was the dominant division of the OHL. There was a time when the WHL was winning most of the Memorial Cups. Now we've seen it. This is going to be, out of 9 years, the WHL only has one Memorial Cup championship. Also, I have to...
Who did they win that against?
Get out of here. Anyway, I also got to give a shout out to Nate Sager. He just threw out a very interesting stat. Should the Spitfires pull this off on Sunday, they will have the longest layoff for any Memorial Cup champion at 44 days. Current record is 35 days for the 1999 Ottawa 67s.
And Windsor's the first host team to make the final since London in 05.
Well, first host proper. Since
Didn't
04.
Shawinigan win it all in
Shawinigan won it all.
2012?
Shawinigan
No,
won
but
it
to
all.
get to the final 3-0. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Brian misspoke that one, but London is the last host to get there at 3-0. But the last time you had a non-champion host go 3-0,
Kelowna.
was Kelowna in 2004, and they won the Memorial Cup against the Gatineau.
What were the betting odds before this for Windsor? Because
Weren't very high. Weren't very high. No. I think many people predicted an Erie St. John final coming into this one, and that's not going to take place.
So let's get your predictions in. We got a couple minutes left. Erie and St. John, we said it's not going to be the same, but who is coming out and who will play Windsor on Sunday?
The Otters will win on Friday.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's going to be about a 6-3 win on Friday for the Erie.
Are you kidding me? You're not going to win on Friday.
We got the cheap seats talking on this one, but you know what? I'm not going to say it so decisively. I do think the Erie Otters are going to win on Friday, but I really think they're going to get tested. I really think they're going to get tested by the St. John Sea Dogs. Could we see our first overtime of this Memorial Cup?
That's exactly what I was going to say. We're due.
We're due for one. It's been a while. We haven't had an overtime game at the Memorial Cup since the final last year. So I think the Sea Dogs are going to give the Otters everything they can handle. That said, I think Erie is winning this game on Friday.
If it does go to overtime, though, Erie has two great players that have been OT heroes for them, Sorelli and Fogel.
Yeah.
Stage is set for Sorelli, isn't it? If it goes to OT,
He's the only guy you can pick.
if you're with the Spitz organization or a Spitz fan, you want it to go to quadruple overtime.
We're getting you at the tailgater soon,
Yeah.
though, right, boss? You coming out there for a hot dog or two?
Maybe 3 or 4.
There we go.
Gotta get him to
What
sign
happened
the
last
trailer.
time when a team went 3-0 in the semifinal?
This
went
can
to
go
overtime?
all night with stats. You nerds. For Steve McLean, for Keith Dotson, big thanks to Manny Pavia for joining us. I'm Brian Thompson. We will see you after the semifinals here on the OHL Fanboys podcast.